Hello, how are you? My name is Antonio Ricardo Nejas, and I would like to share with you some insights about the theme of cardioneural alchemical resonance. At present, we are facing a new sphinx, the sphinx of planetary transition, what I call a quantum sphinx. This sphinx presents us with a quantum riddle. In this sense, today's Oedipus, whose name means the one with wounded feet, the one who cannot walk and must heal his feet to cross, faces the challenge of planetary transition. The riddle proposed now is not about time, as in the Greek myth, but about consciousness in the face of the infinite possibilities of being. Just as the wave function holds multiple states, the quantum sphinx challenges the seeker to choose. Which reality do I wish to collapse, to co-create? What do I want from now on? This is what Jean-Yves Leloup calls the essential desire. The riddle does not ask merely for a logical answer, but for the courage to recognize that we are simultaneously particle and wave, limit and infinity, human and divine. The true challenge, therefore, is not to decipher an external mystery, but to cross the inner abyss. As Dorotheus of Gaza said, "Your rubble will be your pedagogue." We must now face our rubble, our inner prisons, in order to find the freedom of conscious creation. Symbolically, this crossing is like the exodus from Egypt. Egypt represents duality, old patterns, old scripts, old chains of slavery. Leaving Egypt points toward the New Jerusalem, symbol of liberation and luminous consciousness. This is the same path as leaving the matrix, letting go of conditionings, the verdicts that imprison us, and walking through the desert of purification toward the inner city of light. To leave the matrix does not mean abandoning the world, but unveiling the invisible webs that bind us. Much of what we see as reality is the result of mental simulations built by conditionings, beliefs, and memories that repeat themselves. The Buddhist samsara. Liberation begins when we see these dysfunctional programs. First, we recognize them. Then we begin the work of freedom. Fears, attachments, anger, illusions, traumas, resentments, all are merely reflections of the spins of consciousness located in the heart chakra. They are movements of the mind that trap awareness in circles of suffering. Breaking these matrices of control is the act of deactivating the inner algorithms that keep us enslaved to ego and desire. This is the deepest work of healing required in the passage toward a new humanity and a new dimension. The alchemy of the verdicts transforms patterns of imprisonment into portals of expansion. Each verti, once a knot of control, can now be decoded as an informational key that carries within it the possibility of healing. Activated by a frequency, a sound, mantra, aroma, luminous vibration, or spiritual code, these patterns dissolve and reveal their higher counterpart. As Jung called enantiodromia, fear becomes courage, anger becomes creative force, attachment becomes free love. This is the art of retuning the heart with its original matrix, prior to distortions, using vibrational and informational codes that reprogram consciousness toward freedom. The exodus, the way out of the matrix, is the journey of Oedipus with healed feet, now able to walk toward the New Jerusalem with its 12 gates. These 12 gates correspond to the 12 layers of multidimensional DNA. In this course, we will explore these themes both experientially and theoretically. In my path as professor, researcher, and therapist, I have been developing therapeutic approaches for over 35 years. Among them is Cardiospintronics, the matrix of reconnection through cardioneural alchemical resonance, and holosonic reconnection, a method I created using sound frequencies. In the language of Cardiospintronics, spin, a concept from modern physics, is the intrinsic rotation that generates fields of subtle information. Likewise, each verti is a psychic spin. Just as matter has its spins, consciousness has its psychic spins, rotational patterns of thought and emotion that keep awareness trapped in cycles of suffering. The alchemy of the verdicts reorganizes these inner spins, restoring them to harmony. Therapeutically, this is like spintronics. Just as electrons can be manipulated to create new flows of information, psychic spins can be reorganized to release vital energy and reconnect consciousness to its unified field, the source code. When harmonized, each verti becomes a portal of coherence. In quantum medicine, coherence is health, while decoherence is disease. Thus, the aim of this transition is to generate states of coherence. Healing is an inner spintronic resonance. Chaotic rotations align with the harmonic movement of the soul. The heart, as the operator of wave function collapse, has the power to co-create new realities. Informational and frequency keys function as quantum switches that reorganize the inner spin of consciousness. Applied correctly, they dissolve imprisoning patterns and transform them into creative potential. These keys manifest in many forms: sounds, sacred geometries, numbers, aromas, symbols, and frequencies. All become coherent when united with bhavana, the cultivated intention of deep presence and communion. Bhavana is the supreme key, the quantum art of co-creating with the unified field. It directs the consciousness to collapse higher states of coherence. Each intentional collapse becomes a step back toward the source code, where the being remembers its essence as light. The 12 vriddhis of the heart chakra correspond to the 12 layers of multidimensional DNA, the original codes of spirit. When vriddhis are alchemized and matrices dissolved, the DNA layers are activated, restoring stellar memory and the sovereignty of the heart. This is the true ascension. The New Jerusalem, symbolic of this state of consciousness, has 12 gates, each linked to a vritti and a DNA layer. Concluding, the alchemy of the vriddhis shows that every imprisoning pattern hides a liberating key. As Dorotheus said, "Your rubble shall be your pedagogue." Fertilizer for the soul is hidden in the shadows. Now Oedipus must face them to reach the promised land of the new humanity. These keys are not mere symbols, but living information in the form of sounds, numbers, aromas, geometries, and frequencies, when applied with intention and bhavana. Thus, the inner spins of consciousness are reorganized. The vriddhis cease to be chains of the matrix and become portals of ascension, reminding the being of its original nature of light, freedom, love, and fullness. I invite you to cross this magnificent portal together. Thank you very much for your attention. See you soon.